welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're looking at the new Martin SN021g V2. This is otherwise known as the new 36mm Explorer version 2. So the official San Martin store, they gave me a pretty good discount on this thing, so that's why you would have seen the includes paid promotion up in one of these corners. But I still paid $276 after tax. And the watch comes in this black. It also comes in a really beautiful, Tiffany blue color. That's really hot right now. The case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, a screw down crown, a screw down case back, 100 meters of water resistance. It is measured at 37 millimeters, and it is supplied on a really good stainless steel bracelet. The watch can be equipped with one of two high beat automatic movements, the Swiss Solida SW200 or the PT5000. In my opinion, this is easily a $700 watch that's you can pick up all day long for $320. It is absolutely incredible. I say we dig right in, but before we do, I'm going to do a wrist check here. This is the Heron watch. So this is launching on Kickstarter today, the 28th of February. Go check them out. I'll leave their link down below, and I'll also be reviewing this on the channel pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. Really cool watch, though. I do like it. But let's get back to this. So first things first are the dimensions. As always, this is listed as a 36mm watch, but if you look real close, you'll see that it is actually 37 millimeters. Diameter is 37 millimeters. Thickness of 11.1, which is really thin. I love the thickness of it. We've got 20 millimeter lugs. The bracelet tapers down to 16 millimeters, and the overall lug to lug is 47.5 millimeters. So, I mean, it is just a great size. Absolutely love the size on this thing. You get a little bit of curvature down on those lugs there, but I mean, it just wears really good. That 11 millimeters thick, that includes that crystal. And I mean, this is one of the slimmest watches I have in my collection. And I mean, it is great. So, and it wears just awesome. I love the way it wears. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw this on the wrist. Here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and you can see, in my opinion, it just wears perfectly. I'm starting to really dig these 37, 38 millimeter watches, and this thing just looks so good. You can see all the polished surfaces catching the light of the tree there. It just looks great. I mean, the down the wrist shot here, it wears so comfortably, and it just hugs right down to the wrist. Super slim. It looks great. Bracelet, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Pretty balanced, and yeah, I think on the bracelet it looks awesome. So this is a great go anywhere, do anything watch, and that's the reason I bought it, and it is absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, I have no sun today. Florida, no sun. Who would have thought? Anyway, but here you can see, even catching the clouds there. It's super simple to read, really legible. Those indices against that matte black dial really stand out nicely, and yeah, I think it looks great. But let's go back inside. We'll throw this on some straps, and we'll get back to the review. And here we are on a vintage suede brown leather strap. I think it looks really good. I mean, it's just kind of lends to that vintage size of this watch. I think it just looks great. What do you guys think? I'll leave the link for the strap down in the description, and we'll go throw it on some more straps. And here we are on just a black, kind of a vintagey bison strap on Amazon. I'll leave the link for that down below as well. And I think it looks pretty good. I mean, black on black, you can't really go wrong with this combo in my opinion. Let's go throw it on some single pass and double pass, and we'll get back to the review. And here we are on a single pass elastic strap from Cheapest NATO Straps. Kind of a tan and white. Not my favorite combo, but it is super lightweight and comfortable, and yeah, actually pretty nice. I'm going to throw it on one more strap, and we'll get back to the review. And here we are on a kind of a steel blue ribbed NATO strap. This is also from Cheapest NATO Straps, and this is probably my favorite combo. Very comfortable, lightweight. You can see it lifts the watch up just a little bit, but again, I mean, it's still extremely thin on the wrist, even with 2 layers underneath it. And yeah, I just like this kind of splash of just a little bit of color. I think it looks really good. It pops a little bit with that blue AR, and yeah, I mean, it gives a little bit more wrist presence as well. So yeah, I just really like this combination. It's this or the bracelet for me. So, but let's go back inside and get back to the review. So let's get real close and we'll talk about the case finishing. So the case finishing on this thing is done really, really well. You have a kind of a circular brushing or an angular brushing on the tops of those lugs, as you can see there. Really nicely done. Polished on the sides, polished on the other side here. And I mean, the case finishing on this is just wonderful. Absolutely just great. I mean, you know, San Martin's got this polishing down to a science. They know exactly what they're doing. They get those really sharp. I mean, look how clean those cutoffs are and those transitions are from the brush to the polished surface. I mean, it's just perfect. I really can't see any bleed over as far as, you know, the brushing going into the polishing or vice versa. I mean, it is done really, really well. You have a 3 o'clock signed crown there with the San Martin hex, which I really like to see. They finally have the branding on this thing done just perfect. They've got the hex on the dial, hex on the crown, and hex on the bracelet, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The case back on this thing, as you can see here, just your simple Rolex style case back, completely circular brushed, no branding, nothing on it. Very, very simple, very clean. I wish they would get away from these things and just use a typical, you know, the 6 little slots for a tool to get in there. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and I'm able to get these off now, but they're still not my favorite. The bottom of the lugs are a circular brushing as well, and I mean, they've done a really good job to hone down any of these sharp edges. It's super comfortable to wear, and I just love it. I mean, the thin profile, just wonderful. Smooth bezel here. So if you aren't aware, the version 1 of this thing had a thicker bezel and a flat crystal, and they moved to this thinner bezel, which I think just looks so much better. They just nailed the looks on this thing. And again, I mean, the polishing is just perfect. So let's test the crystal on this thing real quick. As you can see, sapphire crystal, which you expect at this price point, and it is a really good sapphire crystal. So there is some blue AR on it, which is the first time I've really noticed a San Martin with blue AR coating on it. It gets a little distracting, but it's really not that bad. The most important thing is that it cuts down on reflections a lot, and I mean, because of that, the dial is super clear. But there is some blue AR there. I wish they would stuck with the clear AR, but it is what it is, and it's really not a deal breaker in my opinion. It does look a lot worse here than it does in everyday life. I'll say that. But the crystal itself, really nice. It is a box sapphire crystal here. It's not a gradual curvature on this edge here. You can actually feel there's like a sharp point on it. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing at all. And I think because of that, you get less distortion on the dial. I mean, you can see even extreme angles here, you got no distortion there. Even on the edges, you got very minimal distortion. So it is a nice, clean, clear crystal, and it looks great. I've got no real complaints about it, except for maybe that blue AR is a little heavy. But yeah, it really doesn't bother me. So we're gonna get real close to talk about this beautiful, beautiful dial. So like I mentioned, this is offered in a matte black dial, or it's offered in a Tiffany Blue. I think both of them are absolutely gorgeous. I went with the black just because black will go with anything, and I think it's pretty timeless. So yeah, but that Tiffany Blue definitely is beautiful. Anyway, so getting to this dial here, you can see it is a matte black dial. There's no texture to it at all, and it looks absolutely stunning. I mean, it's just great. I mean, they did an awesome job on this thing. The minute track printed around the outside, it's done perfectly. The applied hex logo here, I know it's a little bit controversial. I do think it is a little big on this dial. You can see when I'm looking at it like this, it looks great and it looks fantastic. But when it catches the light like that, it does stick out a little bit. So I kind of regret getting this applied dial, and I wish I would have done one of their custom dial options and just had that hex logo printed on the dial. I think that would make it a lot better. So just keep that in mind. Maybe, you know, San Martin, if you are listening, maybe backfill this, that gray color there that's not polished, maybe backfill this with black paint. I think that would look pretty good. But anyway, I really don't think, again, it's not a deal breaker. It looks in certain lighting, in most lighting, It looks absolutely gorgeous. That logo does. You know, it matches those applied indices perfectly. Everything on this dial is aligned, just spot on. I see no issues with it. Automatic 100 meters at the bottom here. Maybe a little bit low. I could bump it up a little bit, but again, it's not a deal breaker. The applied indices are what make this watch. So again, the version 1 of this had the printed dial on it, and they just bumped this up to applied indices, and they look absolutely stunning. I mean, again, I'll get real close on these things. Just look at them. I mean, they look so good. I love the fact that they went with this vintage font instead of the newer kind of blockier font. You don't see this kind of style on anything, and I think they nailed it. It looks so good. I really can't get over looking at this dial. The handset on it, again, perfectly sized, reaches right out to the minute track. Second hand reaches right out to the minute track. And yeah, I mean, they just look great. They look really, really good. I kind of wish they would have put on that capped second hand. It might have made it look a little bit better, but again, I can't complain. The finishing on these hands is just excellent. Look, I mean, even up close macro, it just looks so good. I'm going to give you a nice view of the dial here. Just look at that. I mean, it's so good. And one nice thing about the applied indices is you got really good lume. So I'm going to pop up a lume shot right now. So you can see it against the SN020 on the left. You can see it against the C-Stern 62 Mas on the right, which are two really good lume watches. And you can see this thing hangs in there, applied really evenly. Maybe the numerals fade a little bit faster than the indices, but I mean, it hangs on all night long. I can read it. The BGW9, it just looks awesome. So we'll talk about the movement real quick. So movement is operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown here. Again, it is really nicely signed with that San Martin hex logo there. Looks really good. The threading action with all San Martins is just, it's great. I've got no complaints with it. The crown is pretty small for my really fat fingers, but I think if you have normal size fingers, it would be fine. So it does lose a little bit of feedback when you're screwing it back in, but I have not had any problems with this watch. This movement itself, I just tested it before this video, face up with my really fancy time grapher app. It is running bang on, 0 seconds per day, 0 beat error. I mean, it's been great. This is the PT5000 movement. It is offered with the Swiss Solida SW200 as well for like an extra $120 or something like that. I've had no problems with the PT5000, and I think it's a great movement. So I see no reason. So far, I have seen no reason to not get the PT5000. Like I mentioned earlier, it is a no date dial, as you notice. So there is a ghost date position. You'll get that with both of them. I wish they would figure that out. I'm pretty sure PT or Precision Time sells a no date movement of this. So they've got to, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Either way, it's a ghost date position. It doesn't really bother me in the end of the day. But yeah, it does hack hand winds, 40 hours of power reserve, 28,800 beats per hour. Yeah, I mean, I've got no problems with the movement. It has been absolutely wonderful for me. Again, screw in action, really nice. So now we can talk about the bracelet. So the bracelet on this watch is really, really good. You have a vertical brushing on the top, which again, I mean, San Martin just does a really good job on this. I see no issues with the brushing on it. You have polished sides here. You have screw pins for adjusting, and I think they actually updated the screw pins on these things so they work even better than they have before. Yeah, I had no issues with that. You'll notice that this model has the larger clasp on it, so I messaged San Martin and asked if I could get the larger clasp on it, and they swapped that out for me. We'll talk about that in just 1 second. But yeah, I think the finishing on the bracelet is really, really good. The end link fitment, I mean, it's very solid. There's no wiggle room in here at all. The way it meets up with this first female link here, yeah, I mean, it's really, really nicely done. Even the curvature of the case is followed really, really good. So I've got nothing to complain about. I mean, seriously, nothing to complain about. Solid links, solid end links. You know, what you would expect in a San Martin at the 300 price range. Yeah, it's a great bracelet. They tend to be a little sharp on the bottom edge here, but I do think they've kind of honed that down as well. Yeah, I've gotten no complaints about the bracelet. Tapers from 20 down to 16. And then, so let's talk about this clasp real quick. So the normal version of this clasp is quite a bit shorter. And I opted for this one just because I had more micro adjust and I knew I could get a good fit with this one. So the smaller clasp only has 2 micro adjust holes. And I think it's one of those things you're going to have to take a gamble on. You can either ask for this larger one or you can stick with the smaller one. I think the benefits of the big one is obviously you get more micro adjust, you're going to get a good fit. The benefits of the smaller one is that the watch feels a little more balanced on wrist. So with this big chunky clasp, it does look and it does feel a little under heavy, I guess. So just keep that in mind. It's definitely not a deal breaker. And it is completely fine and comfortable. I think that smaller clasp, they did it for a reason, and I think that reason was balance. So just keep that in mind. I do think you'll be able to get a good fitment with both of them. I think you're just going to get a better fitment with this clasp. But the clasp itself, it looks and functions exactly the same, so I'm going to talk about it real quick. You have brushing on the side, brushing on the top with this really nice, beautiful inlaid St. Martin logo. You have really nice polished chamfers on these corners here. There's no sharp edges on the bottom of this thing. This is a super comfortable clasp. I love it. I absolutely love it. 2 button pushers on the outside here. I mean, even the inside of this clasp is, something you never see, and it's finished nicely, and I mean, it just looks great and it functions perfectly. The inner bits are brushed here and fully milled, obviously. And I mean, it just works great. Absolutely no problems with this bracelet, no problems with this clasp. I love it. Absolutely love it. So there you go, guys. That is the new San Martin SN021g V, the version 2, 36mm, 37mm Explorer. I love it. I absolutely love it. If you guys are interested in this watch, I'm going to be leaving their link down below. That is an affiliate link. Thank you guys so much for using my links. Yeah, I can't express how much I appreciate you guys using the links. It really helps the channel grow. I've got more watches coming in and more watches to review, more watches to give away, so stay tuned. If you guys want to see some more pictures of this one is definitely staying in the collection. Go check out my Instagram, and that's also a good spot to see what's coming up next on the channel. If you guys have any questions or comments, what do you guys think about this watch? Drop them down below. Love talking with you guys. I think that's about it, though. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.